The galaxy was vast, endless, and silent in most places. Stars blinked like distant lanterns, and planets rotated quietly in their orbits. For countless civilizations, the galaxy had become a place of pride, politics, and power. Each species focused on its own achievements, its own technology, its own glory. But sometimes the galaxy reminded them that it was bigger than their pride. A sudden burst of light came from a star system near the edge of the Andromeda cluster. It was not ordinary light. It was a pattern, a message. Ancient and complex, the signal reached out through space, calling for help. For centuries, civilizations had received similar warnings, but had ignored them. Too many thought that someone else would act, that someone else would care. This time, the signal was different. It carried urgency, fear, and hope, all at once. It spoke of a cosmic danger that could destroy entire systems if left unchecked. The message traveled far, bouncing between the communications networks of powerful species. And then, it reached a small human exploratory vessel named the Horizon Spirit. The Horizon Spirit was modest compared to the enormous warships and research vessels of older, more advanced species. Its hull was sleek, silver, and covered with sensors and antennas, yet it was not the largest or the most powerful ship in the galaxy. But it carried something that no other vessel had: humans. Commander Asha Malik, a tall woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice, was the captain of the Horizon Spirit. She had spent years exploring uncharted space, mapping new star systems, and studying strange phenomena. Her crew was a mix of scientists, engineers, and diplomats, all trained to handle unexpected situations. They had limited resources, but what they lacked in technology, they made up for with creativity, courage, and determination. "Commander Malik," said Lieutenant Rajiv Sharma, the communications officer, his fingers flying over the console. "We are receiving an unusual signal. It's complex. I've never seen anything like it." Asha leaned over the console, examining the stream of patterns. Her brow furrowed. "Can you translate it?" "I'm trying," Rajiv replied. "It's not a standard language, more like a series of instructions and warnings combined. Whoever sent this wanted it to be understood by anyone who was willing to listen. It's a cry for help." The words "cry for help" hung in the air. In most other species, this would have been ignored. Most would have debated endlessly, concerned about political risks, pride, or resource allocation. But humans were different. Asha stood upright. "Prepare the ship. We're going to respond. Set a course for the source. Full speed." The crew exchanged glances. This was dangerous. Very few had ventured into this part of the galaxy, and the warnings in the signal were clear. But fear did not rule humans. Courage did, and hope. As the Horizon Spirit left the familiar safety of known space, stars blurred past the viewing ports. Humans worked together with efficiency and care. Engineers checked the engines, scientists recalibrated sensors, and Rajiv kept translating the signal in real time. Days passed, and the crew faced the first of many challenges. A nebula of charged particles blocked their path, interfering with communication and navigation. Large gas clouds threatened to damage the hull if they moved too fast. Many species would have turned back at this point, citing danger and protocol. But humans adapted. Engineer Lila Torres, a young woman with a bright mind and quick hands, suggested a new approach. "We can use the magnetic fields of the nebula to slingshot the ship forward," she said. "It's risky, but it could save time and energy." Asha considered it. Risky, yes. Dangerous, certainly. But necessary. "Do it," she said. Lila's hands moved like lightning over the controls, rerouting power and adjusting the shields. The ship hummed as it responded to her changes. Slowly, it glided through the nebula, twisting around invisible magnetic currents. The crew watched in awe as the stars danced outside the viewport. When they emerged on the other side, the signal had grown stronger. Rajiv's face lit up. "We're close, much closer than I thought. The message, it's almost like it's waiting for us." The message wasn't just a warning. It was alive with urgency and fear. Something in the galaxy was in trouble, and most species had ignored it. But humans did not ignore cries for help. They never had. For the next week, the Horizon Spirit traveled further than any human crew had ever dared. They crossed unstable star systems and avoided collapsing planets. They witnessed phenomena no one had seen before. Comets that glowed with strange colors, asteroid fields that moved as if guided by intelligence, and pulsars that sang in waves of energy. At night, if one could call it night aboard the ship, the crew gathered in the small observation room. Humans had a habit of sharing thoughts, stories, and laughter even in dangerous times. Captain Malik would sit quietly, watching the stars. She thought about why humans were different from other species. Other civilizations relied on strength, technology, and power. They calculated risks and chose safety over action. Humans acted when it mattered. They felt, they cared, and they tried. That simple trait made them small but remarkable in a galaxy of prideful giants. Then, one morning, the ship reached the edge of a cluster of dying stars. The signal's origin was a small blue planet orbiting a fading sun. From orbit, the planet looked fragile, like a jewel at the edge of darkness. The crew stared in awe. Rajiv spoke first. It's still alive. Barely, but it's holding together. Whoever sent this, they need help immediately." Asha nodded. "We land. We make contact. Humans listen. That's what we do. That's what makes us human." Landing was another challenge. The planet's atmosphere was unstable, winds sweeping violently across the surface. Sensors showed energy surges in the skies above. But humans did not back down. Using shields, thrusters, and precise calculations, the Horizon Spirit touched down gently on a rocky plateau. Dust swirled around them, and the crew held their breath. As they stepped out, the world was both beautiful and terrifying. Jagged mountains rose into clouds, rivers of glowing liquid flowed slowly, and the air vibrated with an energy that made hair stand on end. The planet was alive in ways they had never imagined, but it was in danger. The signal's source, a crystalline structure pulsing faintly, stood ahead. It seemed to call to them, and humans, for the first time, realized just how urgent this moment was. Lila approached the structure, carefully scanning it. "It's complex. It's like a machine and an organism at the same time. It's trying to communicate, but it's frightened." Asha stepped closer. "Then we listen. That's our first step, listening." The crew spent hours studying the structure, trying to understand its patterns and rhythms. Humans were patient, and patience was something the galaxy had underestimated about them. Other species would have forced, attacked, or ignored. Humans simply listened. And listening, it seemed, was exactly what the galaxy needed. Night fell, or what counted as night under this alien sun. The humans sat quietly, observing, learning, and planning. Each of them understood that this moment was the beginning of something greater than themselves. The message that others had ignored, the danger that others had dismissed, was now their responsibility. They would face challenges beyond imagining. They would encounter mysteries that could break the minds of lesser species. But humans were here, humans cared, and in a galaxy full of prideful silence, that made all the difference. Captain Malik looked at her crew and smiled faintly. "We are small," she said softly, "but we are human, and being human means we never turn away when someone needs help." The wind howled across the rocky plateau, the crystalline structure pulsed faintly, and the stars above twinkled as if watching. Somewhere, In the vastness of space, civilizations paused to notice the humans at work. Most did not understand yet, but soon they would. For now, though, the humans listened. And that was enough. The Horizon Spirit had landed safely on the alien planet, and the humans had begun to study the mysterious crystalline structure that had called for help. But the world around them was not calm. Strange winds swept across the rocky plains, carrying whispers of energy and light. Rivers of glowing liquid flowed slowly through the valleys, reflecting the alien sun in colors no human had seen before. The crew felt both awe and unease. This planet was alive, but it was also dangerous. Every movement seemed to echo across the land, as if the ground itself was listening. Even the air vibrated faintly, making the hairs on their arms stand. Yet for humans, wonder and fear went hand in hand. They had traveled across the galaxy for discovery, and they were ready for the unknown. "Commander," said Rajiv, pointing at the readings on his screen. "The structure is sending pulses in a pattern. I think it's trying to communicate more clearly now." Asha studied the pulses carefully. Then we continued to listen. Carefully, step by step. We must understand before we act. Lila, always eager to help, approached the structure with her portable sensors. "It's responding to our instruments," she said. "Not like it's afraid exactly. More like cautious. We have to be gentle." Humans had a habit that other species often lacked. They could pause, observe, and adjust, even when danger was near. They did not rush in with weapons or dominance. They listened, and in this case, listening was the first step toward survival. For days, the crew studied the pulses. Slowly, a pattern emerged. The structure seemed to be alive, not in the way humans understood life, but in a way that made them recognize intelligence. It emitted light, sound, and tiny vibrations that seemed to correspond to emotions: fear, pain, hope, and confusion. "This is not just a structure," Asha said quietly during one evening meeting. "It's a being, and it's in distress." The humans realized that the cosmic danger hinted at in the signal was not an approaching meteor or collapsing star. It was something more active, something alive. They decided to explore further. Using the Horizon Spirit's smaller exploration pods, they traveled into the nearby valleys where the pulses were strongest. They found landscapes that defied physics. Mountains bent slightly as if floating above the ground. Glowing plants swayed though no wind touched them, and rivers reflected images that were not there. Despite the oddity, humans adapted quickly. Lila took readings, noting changes in gravity, energy, and light. Rajiv attempted to translate the new patterns of communication from the structure, and Asha led the team with careful observation, making sure everyone was safe while pushing forward. It was during one of these excursions that they encountered the first real danger. A section of the valley began to quake. Rocks tumbled, and the ground shifted beneath their feet. Sensors showed a massive energy surge from deep within the planet. "Everyone back to the pod!" Asha shouted. They sprinted across the unstable terrain, dodging falling stones and sudden fissures. Lila's quick thinking saved the pod from a collapsing cliff edge, and they managed to launch just before the ground split apart entirely. Back on the Horizon Spirit, they took a deep breath. "This planet is alive in ways we cannot fully understand yet," Rajiv said, still catching his breath. "It's reacting to us, but also to something else." Asha nodded. "We need to understand the other factor. Whatever is causing these surges, it's connected to the pulses, and we have to find it, not just for science, for life itself." The humans spent the next days preparing. They recalibrated their instruments, reinforced the pods, and studied every pulse from the crystalline being. Slowly, a picture emerged. The planet itself was being disturbed by a massive, sentient storm of plasma energy. It moved across space, consuming matter in its path, reacting to everything it touched. And now, it had reached this system. "This is beyond anything any other species has seen," Lila said. Her voice filled with both excitement and worry. And most of them would have turned away already. Humans did not turn away. They rarely did. The crew realized that direct interaction with the storm could be catastrophic. Its energy could destroy the ship, the planet, or even their minds if they approached too closely. Yet, it was necessary. They needed to understand the storm and calm it, or it would destroy everything the crystalline being protected. Their first attempts were cautious. They sent signals, light pulses, and vibrations into the storm from the safety of orbit. The storm reacted unpredictably. Waves of plasma surged, shifting the atmosphere, causing energy pulses that interfered with communication. Most species would have stopped at this point, retreating to safety, but humans adapted. They experimented with different methods. Using patterns they learned from the crystalline being, they tried gentle sequences of light and energy. They adjusted their approach constantly, learning from each reaction. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it failed, but every failure was a lesson. Every attempt brought them closer. During one particularly intense session, the storm surged violently, knocking out communications and shaking the ship. Crew members braced themselves as the ship groaned under stress. Lila worked furiously at the controls, rerouting energy and stabilizing shields. Rajiv kept monitoring the pulses, shouting updates over the noise. Asha's voice rang clear through the chaos. "Stay calm, focus, we listen, we learn, we adapt. That's how humans survive, that's how we help." Slowly, the storm began to respond. Not fully, but enough for the humans to notice patterns. It was reacting to their care and patience. Unlike other species, humans did not try to dominate or destroy. They communicated with empathy. And the storm, something alien, immense, and powerful, noticed. The crew began to understand a simple truth. This storm was not evil. It was in pain. It had experienced harm in the galaxy before, caused by collisions, neglect, and the reckless use of energy by other civilizations. Its destructive path was a reaction, not a choice. Humans understood this instinctively. Other species might have tried to fight it, contain it, or weaponize it. Humans did not. Humans tried to heal. Days turned into weeks as the crew refined their approach. They combined signals from the crystalline being with sequences of energy from the ship, creating a language of empathy and communication. The storm began to slow its destructive path as it recognized that these humans were different. Asha observed the patterns carefully. "We're not controlling it," she said. "We're guiding it gently. That's the difference. We listen, we respond, we don't dominate." The crew faced constant challenges. Energy surges threatened the ship. The planet's unstable surface made landings dangerous, and the storm's reactions were unpredictable. But the humans persisted. They improvised solutions when instruments failed, created new devices to better understand the storm, and remained patient even when progress was slow. Other species observed from afar. Many mocked, thinking humans were too small, too weak, or too emotional to succeed. Yet, every failure brought the humans closer to understanding. Every setback taught them something new. It was during a quiet moment, as the humans rested aboard the ship, that the storm did something unexpected. Its energy pulsed softly, forming shapes in space that resembled gestures, like hands reaching out. It was an acknowledgement, not fully understood but clear enough. It recognized the humans' intent. The crew watched in awe. Rajiv whispered, "It's responding. It knows we are here to help, not harm." Asha smiled. "That's why humans survive. We act when others hesitate. We care when others ignore. That's why we can do what no one else will." For the first time, They saw hope. The storm, powerful and unpredictable, was not an enemy. It was a being in distress, and humans had found a way to reach it. The next step would be even harder, learning to guide it safely without causing harm. But for now, they had a connection, a fragile but real understanding. The days that followed were filled with experiments, careful communication, and observation. Slowly, the storm began to adapt to the human signals. It became less violent, its energy waves more predictable, its reactions less destructive. Other species began to take notice. Reports of human bravery, ingenuity, and empathy spread across communication networks. Some still doubted, others were curious, but humans continued without fanfare, driven not by recognition, but by duty. On the surface of the alien planet, the crystalline being pulsed brighter than ever. It seemed to respond positively to the humans' actions, almost as if it were communicating relief. The humans had listened, adapted, and persevered. They had shown the galaxy that even in the face of immense danger, care, patience, and courage could make a difference. As Asha watched the storm from the observation deck, she thought about the path ahead. The greatest challenges were still to come. They would need to guide the storm fully, protect the planet, and prevent the destruction of nearby systems. But for now, humanity had made its mark. They were small, yes, but their actions mattered. And in a galaxy full of silence, hesitation, and pride that mattered more than anyone realized. Humans had begun to prove themselves not with power or weapons, but with heart, courage, and ingenuity. And the universe had started to take notice. The storm had grown stronger. From the observation deck of the Horizon Spirit, the crew watched vast waves of plasma energy swirl and pulse across space. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The storm moved with intention, almost like a living creature, but its path was chaotic and dangerous. Nearby star systems were at risk, and the alien planet the humans had landed on trembled under the storm's influence. Other civilizations debated endlessly. Some species suggested evacuating their colonies, some tried to create defensive shields, and others simply ignored the threat. Pride and fear kept them from acting. But the humans did not hesitate. They had spent weeks understanding the storm and communicating with the crystalline being, and now they had to act directly. Captain Asha Malik gathered the crew in the main control room. "The storm is alive, and it is scared," she said. "It is reacting to everything around it. If we want to save this planet and the nearby systems, we need to guide it, not fight it. That means patience, courage, and careful action. Are we ready?" "Yes, Commander," the crew replied in unison. They had trained for dangers, but this was unlike anything they had ever faced. It was not a battle of weapons or strength. It was a test of understanding, empathy, and ingenuity. Lila Torres began adjusting the ship's instruments. "We can create sequences of energy pulses that mirror the storm's movements," she explained. "It will recognize that we are not a threat. But if we make a mistake—" Her voice faltered for a moment, but Asha laid a hand on her shoulder. "We learn from mistakes, Lila. That's what humans do. And we adapt." Rajiv Sharma monitored the communication channels. "I think the storm is responding to the sequences from the crystalline being. If we combine our signals, we might guide it more effectively." The crew prepared for the first direct attempt to interact with the storm. They positioned the ship at a safe distance and began sending patterns of light and energy that mimicked the pulses of the crystalline being. The storm reacted immediately, thrashing violently at first. Energy waves surged toward the ship, shaking it and triggering alarms. "Steady," Asha commanded. "We respond, but we do not force. Gentle adjustments. Listen to its reactions." Slowly, carefully, the storm began to settle. Its movements became less chaotic, and the energy pulses seemed to synchronize with the human signals. It was not fully calm, but it was listening. Days passed, and the humans worked tirelessly. They sent sequences of energy, observed reactions, and adjusted constantly. Every misstep taught them something new. They realized that the storm's fear came from a past filled with destruction. It had witnessed the careless use of energy across the galaxy, and it reacted violently to protect itself. Unlike humans, other species had tried to dominate, contain, or destroy the storm. That approach had failed every time. Humans did not need dominance. They needed understanding. One evening, the storm surged unexpectedly, sending a wave of energy toward a nearby star system. The alarms blared, and the crew scrambled to respond. Lila adjusted the energy pulses to counteract the wave. Rajiv translated the storm's pattern, identifying its fear. And Asha coordinated every action with calm precision. The storm paused mid-wave, as if considering their efforts. Then slowly it retreated. The nearby star system was safe. The crew exhaled in relief. "This is it," Asha said softly. "We are reaching it. But the real challenge is ahead. We have to guide it fully, and that will take everything we have." The storm continued to pulse, and the crystalline being on the planet responded in kind. Its light grew brighter, sending signals that helped the humans refine their approach. Together, the humans and the crystalline being created a dialogue with the storm, a language of energy, light, and rhythm. As the days passed, the storm began to change. It slowed, its energy became less chaotic, and it seemed to understand that the humans were not a threat. Yet there were still moments of violence. Energy waves lashed out unpredictably, testing the humans' patience and ingenuity. During one particularly tense moment, the storm released a massive surge directly toward the Horizon Spirit. Shields strained under the pressure, and the ship trembled. Lila worked furiously at the controls, rerouting power and adjusting frequencies. Rajiv shouted updates as he decoded the storm's pulses. Asha remained calm. "We do not fight it. We guide it. Remember why we are here. We are human. We listen. We respond. We adapt." Slowly, the storm's surge began to change direction, guided by the humans' careful adjustments. It was a moment of triumph, but the crew knew this was just the beginning. The storm's behavior became more complex. It reacted to emotions, to energy patterns, to the faint signals of the crystalline being. It seemed almost curious about the humans. Its violent surges became less frequent, and it began to follow the sequences sent by the crew. One night, as the humans rested on the observation deck, they noticed a strange formation in the storm. Pulses of light formed shapes resembling hands reaching out. Rajiv whispered, "It's acknowledging us. It knows we are here to help." Asha nodded. "That's why humans survive. We act when others hesitate. We care when others ignore. And that care, it matters." The crew continued their work, constantly adjusting, learning, and guiding. They faced exhaustion, fear, and doubt, but they did not give up. They improvised new tools, tested new methods, and worked together as a team. Every small success strengthened their resolve. Then came the moment of true desperation. A massive surge from the storm threatened to engulf the alien planet and nearby systems. The crystalline being pulsed violently, sending distress signals to the humans. The storm's energy was unpredictable, and if they failed, entire star systems could be destroyed. Asha took a deep breath. "This is it. We guide it fully or we fail. Trust each other. Trust our instincts. Trust what makes us human." The crew worked in perfect coordination. Lila adjusted the energy pulses with precision. Rajiv translated the storm's signals in real time. Engineers rerouted power to reinforce the ship and maintain stability. And Asha directed every action, calm and confident, even as the storm lashed out. For hours, they guided the storm, responding to its fear and confusion with patience and care. It was exhausting, but they did not falter. Slowly, the storm began to calm. Its energy waves stabilized, and its violent movements lessened. The crystalline being glowed brighter, sending signals of relief and gratitude. Finally, the storm paused completely, hovering in space like a giant, powerful creature taking a deep breath. The humans had done it. They had guided the storm without force, without weapons, without domination. They had succeeded through patience, courage, and empathy. Asha looked at her crew. We did it. We listened, we adapted, and we acted. That is what makes us human. Rajiv smiled, exhausted but happy. Other species could never have done this. They would have tried to fight it or run away. Humans, we listen, we act, and we care. The storm remained calm, almost peaceful. It had recognized the humans' intentions and responded in kind. The alien planet was safe. Nearby star systems were protected. The crystalline being pulsed gently, a sign of gratitude and relief. News of the humans' actions began to spread across the galaxy. Other civilizations watched in awe. Some doubted, some admired. But all were forced to acknowledge a simple truth. Humans were different. Small in number and limited in technology, yes, but capable of courage, empathy, and ingenuity beyond any other species. For the humans of the Horizon Spirit, it was a quiet moment of triumph. They had faced the storm, understood it, and guided it. They had shown that even in the most desperate moments, listening, adapting, and acting with care could achieve what strength and pride could not. As Asha gazed at the calm storm, she knew their work was not over. The storm would continue to exist, and other challenges would arise. But for now, humanity had proven its value. In a galaxy full of hesitation, arrogance, and fear, humans had listened, and that had made all the difference. The crew of the Horizon Spirit prepared for the next steps. They would continue to communicate with the storm, learn its patterns, and ensure that the galaxy remained safe. Other species would eventually see the importance of their actions. But humans did not need recognition. They acted because it was right. And in the quiet of space, with stars twinkling above and the storm calm below, the humans realized something simple but profound. Courage, empathy, and ingenuity were more powerful than any weapon. And when the galaxy faced true danger, it was humans who would stand, ready to listen, ready to act, ready to guide. The storm had tested them. The galaxy had doubted them. And humans had shown why they mattered. The storm had calmed. After days of tireless work, the crew of the Horizon Spirit had managed to guide the sentient plasma storm into a stable pattern. It no longer lashed out violently. The alien planet that had called for help now stood unharmed, its crystalline being pulsing gently in quiet relief. But the work was not over. The storm still existed, immense and unpredictable. It needed ongoing guidance, understanding, and respect. Humans had done what no other species dared, but they knew that continued vigilance was necessary to protect the galaxy from its destructive potential. Captain Asha Malik gathered her crew in the main control room. "We've achieved something incredible," she said. "The storm is stable and the planet is safe. But our responsibility doesn't end here. We need to ensure this balance continues. We will continue to communicate, to guide, and to care." The crew nodded, understanding the weight of their duty. Lila Torres leaned over the energy control panel, recalibrating the ship's systems. "We've learned a lot about this storm. Its behavior is complex, but it's responding to patterns of care and attention. It's almost appreciative." Rajiv Sharma added, "Other species are beginning to notice. Reports are spreading across the galaxy. Humans are being watched, not as a threat, but as a solution." Asha smiled faintly. We did not act for recognition. We acted because it was right. But yes, it seems the galaxy is finally paying attention. The humans returned to the planet's surface to continue working with the crystalline being. The being, once trembling with fear, now radiated a steady, gentle light. It responded to their presence with pulses that were almost like gestures of gratitude. Humans, with their patience and empathy, had formed a bond of trust with a being unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. While other species debated, delayed, or ignored, humans had acted. They had faced a threat beyond comprehension and responded with courage, intelligence, and heart. That was what set them apart. Days later, representatives from neighboring star systems arrived, cautiously observing from a distance. They had watched the humans' success from afar. Many had doubted that such a small, unarmed, and simple species could accomplish anything against the storm. But they were forced to admit they were wrong. Ambassadors from these civilizations approached the Horizon Spirit. "We have observed your actions," one said. "No other species dared approach the storm. No one else even tried to communicate. How did you succeed where others failed?" Asha replied calmly. "We listened. We acted with care. We did not try to dominate. We adapted to the storm's behavior instead of forcing it to obey. That is what humans do. We act when others hesitate, and we care when others ignore." The ambassadors exchanged looks of surprise. They had relied on power, technology, and strategy. Humans had relied on patience, empathy, and ingenuity, and it had worked. Meanwhile, the crystalline being pulsed brighter than ever. Its energy waves now harmonized with the humans' guidance and the storm's calm energy. The planet had stabilized. Nearby systems were safe. The galaxy had witnessed something remarkable. Humans had made a difference where none else would. But the humans were not content with admiration. They understood the ongoing responsibility of their actions. The storm's energy would continue to move through space. It was still immense, still unpredictable. Humans would continue to guide it, teach it patterns of communication, and ensure that it did not unintentionally harm other systems. Asha gathered her crew once more. "We have proven something important, not just to the galaxy, but to ourselves. Being human means we listen, we act, and we care. That is more powerful than any weapon, faster than any ship, and stronger than pride or arrogance. Let us continue to honor that." The crew continued their work, establishing a stable system of communication and energy guidance with the storm. They created tools that allowed the storm to understand safe boundaries and patterns. They set up monitoring stations on the planet and aboard the Horizon Spirit, ensuring that any sudden energy fluctuations could be addressed immediately. During this time, other species began to send delegations to learn from humans. They wanted to understand how a species so small and seemingly ordinary could accomplish what empires had failed to do. Humans shared their knowledge openly, without pride or self-interest. They taught patience, observation, and the importance of listening. The galaxy began to change. Species that had relied solely on technology and power started to reconsider their approach to problems. Diplomacy, empathy, and collaboration gained new value. Humans had shown that courage was not always about weapons or numbers. It could also be about heart, intellect, and care. Meanwhile, the crystalline being had become a symbol of hope. Once trembling and fragile, it now stood as a testament to the difference humans could make. It pulsed with life, energy, and balance, and it shared its story across nearby networks, telling all who would listen about the small, persistent species that had saved it. One evening, as Asha looked out over the alien landscape from the observation deck of the Horizon Spirit, she reflected on the journey. "We were small, yes," she said quietly to herself, "but small can matter. Courage and care can matter. And when the galaxy faces true danger, it is humans who will rise to meet it. Her crew gathered around, tired but satisfied. Rajiv smiled, pointing at the calm storm in the distance. Look at that. It's finally at peace, and we helped it do that. Lila added, we didn't just survive. We made a difference. That's what humans do. Asha nodded. Yes, that is exactly what humans do, and this is only the beginning. There will be more storms, more dangers, more challenges. But wherever there is need, humans will act. Wherever there is fear, humans will face it. Wherever there is hope, humans will protect it. The calm storm and the stabilized planet were proof of their efforts. Nearby species no longer ignored the humans. Some approached them with curiosity, some with admiration, and some with a newfound respect. Humans had set an example, and it was one the galaxy could not ignore. Over time, humans became invited into interstellar councils, not because of weapons or power, but because of their actions. They had proven that even a small species could influence the galaxy profoundly. Their methods, listening, adapting, and caring, became valued strategies for diplomacy, exploration, and crisis management. Yet the humans did not act for fame or recognition. They acted because it was right. And that principle guided them in every decision, every journey, and every encounter across the stars. The crystalline being, once a fragile entity in distress, now shone brightly under the alien sun. It had learned from humans, and it had survived because of them. It communicated its gratitude in pulses of energy and light, a language humans now fully understood. And in doing so, it reminded the galaxy of an important truth. Courage, empathy, and intelligence together could achieve what might alone never could. The Horizon Spirit prepared to depart, carrying its crew to new adventures. The storm remained calm but aware, following the humans' guidance as needed. And the alien planet, once at the brink of destruction, stood as a monument to the humans' ingenuity and compassion. As the ship lifted off, Asha looked at the stars stretching endlessly ahead. The galaxy is full of challenges, she said, but humans will face them. We will listen, we will act, and we will care. That is our strength. That is our legacy. The crew of the Horizon Spirit had proven the power of humanity. Not through domination, not through fear, and not through force. They had proven it through empathy, courage, and ingenuity. And in the vast galaxy, among countless civilizations, one truth now shone brighter than any star. When the universe called for help, humans were the ones who answered. The stars outside twinkled as the ship sailed onward. The storm, once a force of chaos, now moved with purpose and calm. Guided by the understanding forged by humans, the crystalline being glowed with life, and nearby civilizations began to take note of the species that dared to listen when everyone else ignored the call. The galaxy would never be the same again, and humanity had shown the universe why they mattered.